All right, guys, welcome back to your dev stream highlight here. And basically, I'm going to go through some of the major points of the dev stream highlight and give you guys the breakdown of what was said. So to start it off, priority missions should be showing up now. I know there were some issues with priority missions, but about a half hour to an hour before the stream, they fixed those. So potentially for some people, you can get 4 exotics this week from the priority missions. So keep an eye out for that and see if they're working for you now. So in terms of the glasses for Black Widow, they found the bug related to that, and they figured out why it was happening. There was no timeline for when it's going to be working or when they're going to have the fix for it, but it is something they have now figured out, and it will be fixed in a future patch. So Kate Bishop 069 was a nameplate they were giving away this week. They realized that they'd already given it away, so they switched it out to 68. The monatomic outfits are having texture issues on PC and PS5. That is something they are looking into, and they will have a fix for in the future. Heroes level reset. This is something that I've seen personally on the stream on Monday. So they said this is impacting backup saves, and the team is still investigating this one. I think it's when you're joining someone. There's something to do with the way you're joining someone and their progress and their game that is resetting yours. So be careful when you join friends or anybody, I guess, at this point. So just be very careful. But they did say if you've encountered this one, please send a ticket to customer support, including the platform. What were you doing before the issue came up? Does it impact your online or offline saves? Both. Have you reloaded? Were you able to reload? And did this impact your reload of your saves? Next, they acknowledged the great skin leak. Andy says that just because things look aesthetically done does not mean they are functionally done. I mean, they acknowledged it. I mean, it was very much so like whoosh, like move away from it, but they acknowledged it. On the topic of skins, Andy showed off what he thought was the Blood Moon outfit for the Red Room Takeover. This wasn't actually the skin he was supposed to show off. It was one already in the game. So because of that, we don't actually know what the Blood Moon outfit looks like. It's why I had Shade Strike here, because it looked to be a recolor of Shade Strike, but we don't know what that one looks like yet. All right, next is the Black Widow Endgame suit, one that was leaked in the Great Leakening. This is coming out May 6th next week alongside the first part of the Red Room Takeover. But in terms of this skin, Phil and Andy don't know why they don't match the hairstyles. Andy wants to get an artist on stream in order to talk about stuff like that. Andy had theorized that it's to keep the integrity of their versions, but ultimately he was unsure, and you'll have to go ask someone else who would know. So next is the Red Room Takeover. 2 parts, guys. The first part on May 6th, I forget the name of it. It was something protocol. I should probably look it up before I record this video, but I'm not. It had new mission chains, new animated nameplates, which they are a part of the initial batch from Attacking Anomaly, so they are the Pokemon cards. They did say that there's a cool little thing where you don't necessarily need to be Black Widow, but they did say that Black Widow is recommended to be in your strike team, whether it's you, your friend, or an AI. Basically, have Black Widow in your strike team while you're doing these objectives, and you're collecting a certain thing, whatever that means, next week. All right, so part 2 of the Red Room Takeover is in May. They'll have a blog next week to give us some more information. If you like the Bishop Chains in Attacking Anomaly, you may like what they're doing for part 1. So anyone who's having fun attacking Anomaly, that fun should continue moving forward into the Red Room Takeover. Andy would like to show us part 2 in May, but it's probably not next week. So Phil had his own little spot here, and he's said a lot of things, actually, so let's get into it. He said they found the damage bug damage scaler, that they're fixing the exploits that allow things to scale way too high. They're doing this ahead of the Omega level threats. Cloning Labs looks to be in good shape, and they're messing with the other Omega level threat to make sure it's challenging enough. Now, they did say they want to release 2 together, so if Cloning Labs looks to be in good shape, once they seemingly get this fixed and out of the way, maybe there's a patch that will patch up the remaining dozen or so issues, and then it looks to be Cloning Labs and whatever Omega level threat. I think this is the one with Super Adaptoid, so it looks to be like we're on the runway now for Cloning Labs and Omega level threats in general. All right, so in terms of Patrol, Phil would like to do a focus on that in one of their streams or blogs, but because everything is still kind of in flux with it, that he needs to get more people to sign off just because of that reason in particular. He wants to talk about what Patrol has now versus what it could have later. I theorize that this is based on people's suggestions that they like but just can't implement due to timeline reasons. So I'm sure there's things that they will probably say this will have later, but it won't have at the start. And this is so now they can set those expectations ahead of time so that when it launches, people understand what exactly they're getting versus what they think they're getting. So they did say that there'll be fun preview of that with some gameplay footage, which will be very soon. In terms of traversal stuff, as well as the whole Patrol conversation in general, so Phil did say that's through the combat team, but he did recognize that some heroes tend to fall behind in spaces, so Phil will talk to the team about that. Phil said that they're streaming stuff in as quickly as they can already with the current gen consoles. He then went to say, if geometry doesn't come in when it needs to, then we may have enemies stuck in walls and stuff. Phil is looking into ways to make it easier for us to find what we want to do in patrols. And this doesn't mean that there aren't changes in traversal. This is just what Phil's looking to on his end. This is off the heels of his comments on Reddit where he said like vehicles is just not something they're looking to do. So remains to be seen what they will do with traversal, but that is where they are right now with that. So on the topic of skins again, just because someone asked a question, Phil says he doesn't know if we can switch out hairstyles, but he will pass that along to the cosmetics team. Boss fights now are going to change the old ones. They're just looking at making things different in the new ones. So someone asked a question about boss fights and changing them. So that was his response to that one. But he said the goal is still, if you have really good gear and really good effects, you'll still be able to do a lot of damage to bosses, regardless of what they're doing with the damage bug and damage scaling. That's always going to be the intended thing with this game. So in terms of weapon skins, that's something they're going to talk about in the upcoming blogs. I theorize that maybe it's Endgame Thor related. If we do get one MCU skin a week, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk, Cap, at some point you got to talk about the last two characters, and one of them has a new weapon. Just saying. So in terms of the height ceiling, Phil said he would love to increase the ceiling. We could arc things up. I didn't know what he meant by that specifically, but he said the problem with the height ceiling is that if you see too much, it can make things really difficult to run, which I would say is rendering issues. He then went on to say that it's really challenging and it's unfortunately not that simple. So future missions with puzzles. Someone had asked about small puzzles in future missions. Phil had came back and said, we're going to add big puzzles in the future missions. And he says he wants us to figure them out ourselves, so no streams of OLT possibly. But they did say that video could be on the horizon for some gameplay footage of that. Phil is going to ask about featured suits and how things rotate. They also talked about UI stuff is coming soon. This is also last week or a few weeks ago, they talked about bringing in the lead director of UI, whatever his title is, to come on and talk about UI stuff and some of the UI changes that they're making. So that could be very cool. Sloth nameplate is still around as a bug, and they're going to look into it again. I guess it's so people still haven't gotten it yet. To be honest with you, I totally forgot about the sloth nameplate. So, but it's nice that people are remembering these things and bringing them back up again. So kudos to whoever brought that up in chat. Loadouts, etc. Phil says they're preparing something for post level 50 progression, loadouts, etc. Cosmetic rework. No update today, but Andy will look for an update moving forward, either in a blog or in a stream moving forward. This is for part 2 of the cosmetic rework. I think they said part 1 came with the attack and anomaly update. I don't know what part 1 or part 2 are supposed to mean. I don't know if part 2 is supposed to be the part where you're able to kind of grind certain things to be able to pick what you wanted the cosmetic vendor. I will have to wait and see how that works moving forward. So there was a question, are the attack and anomaly nameplates a one-time deal, as in they won't come back? Andy's answer was that he was not sure and he's going to ask. In the next few weeks, they'll talk to us about a post-level 50 progression, but it's not going to be next week, but the week after, possibly. They're working on giving us the number of companions we can bring with us. This means if you want 1, 2, 3, or 0 companions, they are working on that functionality for us moving forward. They had no Spider-Man update, and then when it comes to Heroes Heroics updates, Phil had said that there are things coming, fun things, and he's looking forward to be able to talk about it soon. So with that being said, guys, this was your dev stream update today. What did you guys think? Is there anything in here that kind of makes you excited? Is there anything in here that kind of makes you scratch your head? Let me know in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you guys the next time here on Assemble. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.